When I lost my husband to a car crash, it felt like my heart had been cleaved in two. I left everything behind. My old neighborhood, my friends, the home that Marcus and I had built together, because everything was too painful. Our 6-year-old son, Daniel, and I moved into a quiet tree-lined neighborhood where no one knew us or our grief. I figured a fresh start might help both of us. Our little house was modest but cozy, with a large living room window overlooking the street. Daniel quickly settled into his new school routine, and I took comfort in seeing a bit of his usual brightness returning, especially after his first few days at school. One afternoon, I walked into the living room and found him by the window, a tiny hand raised in an enthusiastic wave.
Who are you waving to, sweetie?
I asked, amused. Oh, just a friend, he replied with a shy grin. I smiled, relieved. Making friends already, I thought. I saw that as a good sign. Maybe things really would get better here. The next afternoon, there he was again, by the window, waving down at the empty street. This time I approached him to see who it was.
You should invite your friend over sometime,
I suggested, ruffling his hair and peering at the empty street.
It'd be nice to meet him.
Daniel glanced up at me, his face serious. Arthur's a little shy, Mommy. Arthur. I tried not to read too much into the name. Maybe somebody names their kid after their parents. Then came the oddities. A week or so passed and Daniel's behavior grew unsettling. I'd catch him talking in his sleep, mumbling words too quiet to understand, sometimes laughing softly in the darkness. There were nights I'd wake up to find him standing by the window, staring out into the blackness. When I'd ask him what he was looking at, he'd just mumble, Arthur likes the night. Then the worst happened. I'd been tidying his room. His crayons were left scattered across the floor. There, on a crumpled piece of paper, was a face. Pale, hollowed eyes staring up at me, surrounded by scratchy, childlike lines. In the middle of the forehead was a small, dark red dot. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was staring right through me. When Daniel got home, I held up the drawing, trying to keep my voice steady.
Who's this, Daniel?
He looked at me in a way that made my skin prickle. A stare so cold, so distant, it couldn't belong on a 6-year-old's face. Seconds passed, stretching out painfully. And just when I thought he wouldn't answer, he turned his gaze to the window. Slowly, as if reluctant, he whispered, That's Arthur, Mommy. I froze, swallowing the lump in my throat. I forced a smile.
Oh, why does he have a red dot on his forehead?
Without looking at me, he replied, 'Cause he has a hole there. Arthur said a bad man shot him. I felt the blood drain from my face. It wasn't just an imaginary friend's story. There was something chillingly specific in his words. I pulled him close.
Daniel, how did you meet Arthur?
He looked up at me, eyes innocent and young. He was there, Mommy, at Daddy's funeral. He was standing right next to Daddy's grave. A sickening chill ran through me, freezing my breath in my throat.
Where is he now?
Daniel's gaze drifted to the living room window. His little face was eerily calm. He's not shy anymore, Mommy. He wants to come in. He paused, his mouth stretching into a small, strange smile. That was enough for me. I grabbed him as I rushed us out of the house. I didn't stop until we were safe at my mother's. My hands shook. My mind spiraled in fear and confusion. I needed help, real help. For the next 2 weeks, we prayed. My mother insisted we go to church. She dragged us every day without fail. A bishop performed a cleansing ritual, muttering prayers over us as he sprinkled holy water on Daniel and me. I clung to hope, desperate for the nightmare to end. Slowly, gradually, the shadows faded, and the whispers stopped. The nights returned to their silent, ordinary darkness. And Arthur, he vanished. It was exactly a year later when I returned to the cemetery. I brought flowers and knelt by Marcus's grave. I whispered a few words, telling him how we were doing, and how Daniel was growing up so quickly. As I rose to leave, my gaze fell on the grave beside his. A simple, unassuming stone that hadn't been there before. Curious, I stepped closer and read the inscription. Arthur Miller, an ideal son and a loving husband, gone too soon on the battlefield, fighting for his country. Everyone who knew him will always be proud of him. A single red poppy had been placed by the stone. Its delicate petals were bright and stark against the grass, just over a small circular indent in the stone's surface. A scar left by something small, round, and sharp. A shiver coursed through me. I could almost feel eyes on me, watching from somewhere just beyond the veil of reality. At that moment, I could have sworn I heard Daniel's small, haunting voice in my head, echoing through the silent graveyard. He's not shy anymore, Mommy. He wants to come in. Come in.